Um, but we were talking about the quadratic formula, okay? And what it did was it allowed us to find x-intercepts really easily, okay? Because we said we had this, I'm not big on, hey, you have to memorize things, but we said, all right, x equals, and we had some stuff. Do we remember any piece of it? If not, it's okay. Remember, it started with the opposite of b, okay? And then we had this plus or minus deal. And I'm actually going to skip to the bottom for a second, because you guys remember from when we graphed in standard form, how we had to have the opposite of b over 2a? That kind of shows up here, okay? And when you guys get to Algebra 2, if you have me next year, we'll talk about why does that show up in our quadratic formula. Okay. But this, if you get nothing else, make sure you get this jotted down if you don't have it already from Friday, okay? But your quadratic formula is going to look something like this. The opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c, all under the radical. And at the end, you divide everything by 2a, okay? And what this does, well, you're like, Mr. Jones, why do I have to memorize this? And I'm not big on memorizing. But what this does, this will find you the x-intercepts for any quadratic, okay? It'll find you your x-intercepts or your roots or your solutions. Where does it hit the x-axis there, okay? So let's try to use it for an example. And I guess I should make one note. When you use this, your equation must be set equal to 0, okay? You have to have it set equal to 0. So we'll do a couple examples together, and then I'll have you guys try a couple in small groups, and then we'll call it a day, okay? So the first one we're gonna look at, if we just have x squared minus 6x plus 5, we're gonna set that equal to 0. We'll make life nice for ourselves to start, okay? All we're gonna do is we're just gonna use this formula up here, okay? So the opposite, and some people like to label it A, B, and C just so they don't forget. And if that helps you, great. If you know what they are, that's fine too. Hang on, people got stuff in the chat. All right. Yeah, hey, I'm fine with short class. I'm trying to give you guys the highlights, okay? All right, but so we looking, all right, the opposite of B, we're gonna do 6 plus or minus, all right, the square root of negative 6 squared, all right, and I'm gonna put that in parentheses, negative 6 squared minus 4, and I'm just plugging in everything. So we have b squared, negative 6 squared, minus 4 times a, well, a is just 1, and then our c is positive 5, okay? All divided by 2 times our a value is 1. Again, I'm just plugging in numbers straight into our quadratic formula that we had up here. Okay? Questions on that, how I got this piece down here? Okay? All right. Well, we can start to simplify some things from here. So this is why we spent a lot of time simplifying square roots. So we have 6 plus or minus negative 6 squared. Negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36. And then we have minus, so 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 5 would be 20. Okay? So you see how this is starting to simplify itself out, and actually 2 times 1 is just 2. So our final answers, well, we have, hang on, where'd my pen go? 6 plus or minus the square root of 16 over 2. And the square root of 16, you guys know, is 4. So we have 6 plus or minus 4 over 2. So we have really 2 answers. So I'm going to kind of split this up. I'm going to split up into the version where we add 6 plus 4 over 2, and then we'll split it up into the 6 minus 4 over 2. 6 plus 4 is 10 over 2, or 5. And then 6 minus 4 is 2 over 2, and we get 1. So your answers would be x equals 5 and x equals 1. Final answer. Okay? I'm breaking up bad. Shoot. Is it just Evan, or is it all you guys?
You're not breaking up for me.
Okay. So some of you, okay.
Yeah.
If I freeze on you and you want me to go back through a step, just stop me. All right, go ahead and just turn on your mic and just say something, okay? Because I don't want you to get lost in this process. Okay. Questions on how we did that though? So again, part 1, we literally just took this quadratic formula up here in blue and we plugged in all our numbers. We plugged in our A, our B, and our C, okay? And from there, we just simplified some radicals, okay? All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Let's do one more, and then I'll kind of turn it over to you guys, okay? I'm gonna turn it over to you guys a little bit. Just so we make sure we've got it on lockdown. So this time we're gonna get a little bit bigger. We're gonna say 9x squared, okay? And then plus 1, and that's gonna equal 6x. Okay. You guys tell me, what do we have to do first? Thoughts, ideas?
We gotta get the 6 on the other side.
Why? Brady, you're exactly right. Why?
It has to equal 0.
Yeah, before you can do anything, you have to get it set equal to 0, okay? Brady's right on, okay? From there, and if you want to label these A, B, and C, you can, all right, if that helps you keep it straight. So now it's just plugging into our quadratic formula. Again, opposite of B, so I'm just going to kind of write opposite of B. So the opposite of negative 6 would be positive 6, plus or minus, all right, the square root of B squared. You guys are going to be sick of hearing this. You might have nightmares about it, okay? All right, the square root of B squared, well, negative 6 squared minus 4 times A, well, in this case, A is 9, and C is 1, okay? All of that divided by 2 times A. All right, I promise this is the last one, and then I'll have you guys try one. Okay. Well, so we have 6, and you guys tell me, what are we going to have under the radical? 6 plus or minus, I guess we have 18 down here. What would negative 6 squared be? Negative 6 times negative 6 being
36.
positive 36, good. And then we have minus 4 times 9 is 36 times 1. Okay, well, that actually becomes really nice because we have 6 plus or minus the square root of 0. Well, the square root of 0 is just 0 over 18. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. We don't, in this case, we don't have to split it up, okay? Because 6 plus 0 and 6 minus 0, you're going to get the same thing. So your final answer would be 6 over 18, or you probably should simplify that to 1/3, okay? So your solution would be x equals 1/3. When we come to class on Wednesday, we're going to talk about, depending on what you get down here underneath the radical, that's called what we call the discriminant, that's going to tell us how many solutions we have, okay? That's kind of a preview of what we're going to do on Wednesday, all right? Because if it's positive or 0 or negative, that's going to tell you our number of solutions. That's just a sneak peek. How do we feel about that one? Comments, questions? Feel pretty good.